Alright, guys, welcome to my wide receiver stat prediction list for the 2025 season. I have a shit ton of receivers on this list. I have 103. So I'm just going to do the tier list of yards, and I'm just going to say what touchdowns they're going to get. And I'm just going to get right into it. We got a lot of guys to go in. Michael Wilson, I'm going to give him 650. He has potential to do way better. He could really be an 800-yard receiver, especially with the breakout Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's going to be really good this year. So Trey McBride, he could be a very underrated number 2 receiver, but for now, 650 and 4 touchdowns. Zay Jones, I think he's listed as like the number 4, so I'm going to have him at 300 yards and a tutty. Marvin Harrison, I'll have him getting 1,000 and 8 touchdowns. I know everyone was saying like he's like very disappointing last year. He might not be like a Justin Jefferson type of receiver, but dude, if he's a 1,000-yard receiver every year, like is that not what you want? So 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. And the last guy for the Cardinals we have is Greg Dortch. I think he's going to be taking up the number 3 role, so I'm going to give him 400 yards above Zay Jones, and I'll give him 2 touchdowns. Mooney's had, I think, 2 1,000-yard seasons. Let's see. Yeah, Mooney's had 1,000 yards. Last year, he was very close. Yeah, I can see him and Michael Penix having a really good connection, so I'm going to give Mooney 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns. Drake London, he's going to be 1,100 and 10 touchdowns. So a little bit more productive than Mooney. Definitely, he's going to be twice as more productive in the red zone. He's a big body guy. I'm excited for the Falcons and the receiver core. And in Ray McCloud, I don't know what's up with the Falcons playbook and Madden, but in Madden Sim, Ray McCloud is always like offensive player of the year. So who knows? He could kill it. But I think I'm just going to have him at 550 for 3. Now, he's going to be like, the number 4 pass catcher between these two, Kyle Pitts. If there's ever going to be a year where he's going to bounce back like he did with his rookie season, it's going to be this season. So, yeah, so Ray McCloud, I think, is just going to get overshadowed a little bit. Zay Flowers, first Ravens Pro Bowl wide receiver ever last season. I'll give him 950. I think he had 1,000 last year. I want to think he's going to be a little bit less productive because I think D-Hop could still get some targets. And Rashad Bateman's a little underrated. He hasn't really performed for a first-round receiver, but he's very reliable. He's solid. I'll give him 700 and 7 touchdowns. Oh, and Zay Flowers, I'm also going to give him 6 touchdowns. And then D-Hop, he's still got some juice in him. I'll give him 825 for 7. Keon Coleman, I think last year he had 500, 600? Yeah, so last season he had 550 for 4. He missed 4 games. This year, with a full season, another year getting settled in that offense. I'll give him 850 for Josh Palmer, the number 3. I'll give him 750. Just because I do think with these 3 receivers, I think they are going to probably be targeted more than, or utilized more. Targeted and utilized more than the tight ends. I mean, Dawson Knox, I think he's their number 1 on the depth chart now, which is crazy because they drafted Dalton 2 seasons ago. And Dawson Knox was supposed to be at one point, I know he had hype around him being an elite tight end, but it just never really happened. All right, Khalil Shakir, I'm going to have him. He's the number 1. He's going to be leading this team. That's the thing. I know none of these guys are going to have eye-popping numbers. I think they're all going to be very productive, and Josh Allen's just going to get the ball spread out. So Shakir, I'll give him 900 yards and 9 touchdowns. Or 8 touchdowns. DJ Moore. He has been very, very productive ever since he's made it over to Chicago. I mean, he was productive in Carolina, too. But, look, he's always put up numbers. Dude, in 2023, did he even make a Pro Bowl? This guy's never made a Pro Bowl. It's crazy. He's never even made a watered-down Pro Bowl, too. Wow. All right, but I'm going to have him having another great year. 1,200 yards, 10 tutties. And once again, this is not in order. It's just, too many guys to keep track of. Odunze, somewhat underperformed for expectations last year. I know some people are still going to consider this, I guess, an underwhelming season in a way, because it's not 1,000 yards, but, I mean, I can see him getting 875. I can see him getting 875 yards and 5 touchdowns. And that leaves the rookie, Luther Burden. I think it's actually so crazy that he went to the Bears. I was not expecting that. And this isn't a shit on Odunze, because I think Odunze can easily be a 1,000-yard guy too, but I just think Luther Burden's shiftier. I think he's just going to have more explosive plays, so I think he's going to get just to the 1,000 mark. And I'll give him 5 touchdowns on top of that. Now, once again, this is kind of like Bills receiving core. I don't think any of these guys are going to have eye-popping numbers, but for what they need to do, I think they're all going to be very productive and reliable. Ted McMillan as the number 1. I'm going to give him 750 for 5. I think that's solid for a rookie year. Xavier Legette, I think he's number 3 on the depth chart. Oh, wait. Whoops. See, too many fucking guys. Xavier Legette is 750 for 5. Tedarrell McMillan, he's 925 for 7. There we go. And Adam Thielen, I mean, dude, I think he can easily get 1,000 yards still. It's just, pretty sure he gets hurt. I don't think he ever really... I think it's kind of like a Cooper Kupp where he just doesn't play a full season. So I'll give him 800 yards and 5 touchdowns. Yeah, look, exactly what I said with the Bills. Two in the 800 to 1,000 category, 1 in the 6 to 800, 2 1. See? Now, Bengals. This is probably one of the most fun ones to do. I think all three of these guys are really good. Jamar Chase, obviously, like, number 1 receiver in the league. T. Higgins can easily be a number 1 receiver. He's top 30, top 25 in the league. And Iosivas, I know he had some games where he was like, when he filled in for these guys, where he was a good threat. Just when you have both of these guys on the field, he's going to get overshadowed, which sometimes I don't understand because it's not like they have a really good tight end attack either. So I think Iosivas could possibly bust out a decent season this year, but Jamar Chase, let's start with him. He's going the first guy in the 1250 plus, 1550 and 15 touchdowns. He could easily lead the league in yards again. I don't have him leading the league in yards. I'm looking at my stats right now. Yeah, I don't. Okay, but he's definitely going to be a top 3 receiver next year again. T. Higgins. So, see, he missed some time last year, too. But if he played every single game, he was on pace for like 1,400 yards. T. Higgins is a certified baller. He's a number 1 receiver. He's going to get 1,150 for 12 touchdowns. He could possibly make his first Pro Bowl this year. And that leaves Iosivas. So, what did Iosivas get last year? Because I felt like he should have had like 400 or 500. But he probably only had like 3. He only had 350 yards last year. I mean, 5 touchdowns for that time. That's not that bad. But I can see him being utilized a little bit more this upcoming year. So I'm going to give Iosivas 525 for 4. All right, now we have the Browns. Just realized there's some guys on this tier list that are not going to be playing, and so that's going to be Thrash. Don't even know his first name, but yeah, he's going to not be playing. Now the Browns, we got Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, and Deontay Johnson. Jerry Jeudy, he had his, 1,200 yards last year or something like that. I can see him definitely being very productive again. I can see him having just about 1,000 yards. I don't think he's ever going to be a crazy big touchdown machine, so I'll keep him at 6 touchdowns. But, 1,000 yards for Jerry Jeudy. Why not? Cedric Tillman, 500 for 5. And then Deontay Johnson, 650 for 4. Johnson's kind of washed. He went through like 4 teams in one season last year. Cedric Tillman, I think he's entering his year 2 or year 3. I mean, could be decent, but once again, they don't have a really good quarterback room. They have a lot of quarterbacks, but it's just like, can any of them really be a number 1? Who knows? Ooh, actually, now this group was really fun to do as well. This group was really fun. The Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Jalen Tolbert, Jonathan Mingo, he's not going to be playing. I still can't believe we traded for him. A 4th-round pick, I think. But CeeDee Lamb, he's a dog. He's a baller. I'm going to give him 1,450 for 10 touchdowns. George Pickens, I think he's going to get his first 1,000-yard year. 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. Hold on. Am I wrong with that? Did he have? No. George Pickens has had 1,000 yards before. Let's see. Oh, shit, he has. Whoops. Okay. He's going to have his second 1,000-yard year. And then Jalen Tolbert. Dude, that's the thing. I was fine with having Jalen Tolbert as our number 2. The fact that he's our number 3, plus we have Jake Ferguson back, I mean, he might be overshadowed a lot then, but I can see him being productive. I can see him getting targeted a lot. I think Dak Prescott's going to have a really good year. I think he's going to be back to MVP caliber. So I'm going to give Jalen Tolbert 750 yards for 5. And I'm pretty sure that's technically down from what he had last year. I think he was pretty productive. Yeah, last year he had 610 yards and 7 touchdowns, so a little bit more. Yeah, I think that's fine. Courtland Sutton. I feel like he's still very underrated. I mean, I think he's probably like a top 10 red zone receiver in the league. And another year Bo Nix, another year with Sean Payton. I think he's going to get utilized very well. I'll give him 1,225, just under the 1,250 mark, and 11 touchdowns. Devon Vele and Mims. I don't think either of these guys are going to be too heavily involved or crazy in offense. So Vele I'll give 525 for 2, and Mims I'll do 550 for 3. All right, now the Lions. This was another fun group to do. Jameson Williams, I can see him having another 1,000-yard year. I'm going to give him 1,100 and 8 touchdowns. Tim Patrick. Now, see, he had like 2 back-to-back injury seasons, I think, at the Broncos. He was a very productive guy. I think he was good in the red zone. And I think he can carry that over to Detroit. It's been a few seasons, so I don't think he's going to have like a crazy amount of yards, but I can see him being involved a lot in the red zone. So I'm going to have him with 575 for 7. And then Amon-Ra, another like top-tier elite receiver in the league. I think last year he had like 1,600 yards. He's going to follow it up with another 1,400-yard season. I'm going to give him 9 touchdowns, too. I think they're going to spread the ball out a lot in the red zone, so I think that's why he's not going to get double digits. But, especially, dude, the Lions have so many weapons. They have St. Brown, Williams. I think Tim Patrick's going to be good. They have Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams, and David Montgomery. There's just too many touchdown machines to go around. Okay, now we're on the Packers. This is the first team I think I'm literally going to be grading. I have all 5 of these guys predicted. And I'm just going to go with I'm going to start off who I think isn't going to really be making the cut. So Christian Watson, I have him at 200 yards and a touchdown. He just doesn't, he doesn't stay on the field. For a guy who's 6'5", he plays like he's 5'3". Yeah, I would literally take any one of these guys over Christian Watson. Dontavion Wicks, he's just falling victim to a crowded depth chart now. I think he could be a reliable guy. He did step in pretty well last year, but just with the other 3 guys plus Tucker Kraft, I just don't see him getting too many targets. So I'm going to give him 350 for 2. Now, we have our 3 starting receivers, in my opinion. Jayden Reed, Matthew Golden, and Romeo Doubs. Reed, I'm going to have him with 800 yards for 5. Golden, first round receiver taken since, Devontae Adams. Maybe not Devontae Adams. He was a second round pick. So I think it was 2002, something like that. And he's going to be, I guess, their first receiver getting 1,000 yards in the Jordan Love era. I don't know if any receivers had 1,000 yards with Jordan Love, because they've just been using so many. But yeah, give Matthew Golden 1,000 yards. 1,025 for 7. And then Romeo Doubs, I think he's going to have a productive year. Maybe not productive enough to get re-signed, but he'll get signed by somebody after this year. 775 for 4. All right, now the Texans. John Mechie, I don't have him playing. Nico Collins, he's a dog. Ever since he got C.J. Stroud, he's just become an easy top 15, top 10 guy. So I'm going to have him going for 1,400 yards, 10 touchdowns. Jaden Higgins, I'm going to have him. I believe he's a rookie. Going to have him 600 yards, but he's going to be involved heavily in the red zone with 7 touchdowns. Christian Kirk, the nutsack twister, I'm going to give him 725 for 6. And then Tank Dell, I think he is going to possibly play. I don't really know. Maybe limited snaps. Maybe he won't be a full-time, maybe he won't be back in the rotation until the end of the season. And because of that, I'm going to give him 325 yards, but I'll give him 3 touchdowns too. I think 2026, that's when we'll see the return of Tank Dell, fully. Okay, now we're on to the Colts. Now see, I want to give all these guys bigger numbers, but it's just with their quarterback play, with how I see their passing offense going, I just don't see them having good numbers. All right, Josh Downs. I'm going to give him 750 for 4. That leads Michael Pittman. I want to give him 1,000 yards. He's on my Dynasty League, so I want him to do really good, but I think he's going to get just a little short. I want to have him at 925 for 4. Alec Pierce. Now, see, Alec Pierce and Anthony Richardson, once the season, had, the craziest deep ball play, and then I just feel like he kind of gets forgotten about. But, I mean, I think he's going to get recognized a little bit better this year. I'll give him 650 for Dyami Brown. I'll give him 550 for 2. This is the Jaguars, by the way. Brian Thomas Jr. I think he's just going to have basically the same year he did last year. 1,200 yards again. I'll give him 11 touchdowns. And then Travis Hunter. This was the toughest one, because I don't know, because that's the thing. He's the only receiver where if people go down on the defense, he might lose his offensive snaps because they're going to need him to play defense. So that's why it's kind of hard to predict there. But, I mean, if he is a full-time receiver, they're number 2, plus playing snaps as corner, I'll give him 750 for 6. I feel like that's pretty fair. Xavier Worthy. I'll give him 1,050. He's easily probably their best receiver on that roster. 1,050 for 7. Rashee Rice. I mean, he can be a 1,000-yard guy, but I think this guy's kind of a piece of shit. So I really don't want him to do good, but I mean, I really can't say, if he plays a full season, I really can't predict him anything lower than 900, so I'll give him 975 for 8. That leaves Hollywood Brown. He'll still get some meaningful plays and yardage, so I'll give him 700 for 5. Okay, now onto the Raiders. Trey Tucker, I'll give 725 for 5. Jacoby Myers is kind of underrated. He had 1,000 yards last year, and I think he's going to repeat with another 1,000-yard year, 6 touchdowns. Jack Beck, the rookie. I mean, dude, I can see him kind of becoming another Hunter Renfrow. Yes, because he's white. Yes, because he's brownish hair like Hunter Renfrow. Yeah, I'll give him 700 yards with 3 touchdowns. All right, so the Chargers, we got McConkey, Williams, and Quentin Johnson. Trey Harris, I'm not going to have him on this list. I think Quentin Johnson is going to get some snaps this year. I think he's going to get himself figured out. So Ladd McConkey, I think he was probably one of the best rookies last season, if not the best. I love him. He's my white stout. I want to have him up in his category with the boys, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, St. Brown, and Nico Collins. I'm going to have Ladd McConkey with a 1,350-yard season and 9 touchdowns. Mike Williams, he's dog shit. He's just going to get hurt, not really do much. I'll give him 450 for 2. And Quentin Johnston, I'll give him 700 for 3. Or 700 for 5. I feel like that's relatively okay for Quentin Johnston. And I just realized, so if I'm going to have Mike Williams that hurt, I probably should do something with Trey Harris. I don't have him written down. But I guess going off a limb here, Trey Harris, I can get him. Trey Harris, I'll just get 550. There you go. Okay, now I'm doing the Rams. Tutu Atwell. He's their number 3, and he's going to get number 3 numbers. 625 for 3. Puka Nacua. I'm pretty sure I have him as my leading receiver this year. 1,600 yards, but I'm still going to keep him kind of low on the touchdowns with 7. Because he also has Davante Adams. Davante Adams will give 1,108. Okay, now we are on to Dolphins. Washington. I don't know who that is, so he's not going to be playing. So Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Nick Westbrook-Ikine. I'll get Ikine out of the way first. I'm going to have him with 450 yards and 6 touchdowns. So yeah, not crazy amount of yardage, but he was very good in the red zone last season, so I can see him following that up. Especially since he is a bigger guy compared to Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, so I can see him being that red zone threat. Along with Jonnu Smith. Can't forget about Jonnu Smith. Tyreek, I'm going to have him bouncing back. 1,250, 8 touchdowns, which will leave Jalen Waddle just under 1,000 with 975. Another fun group, the Minnesota Vikings. Jordan Addison. This guy, I don't think has ever had a 1,000-yard season. It's kind of shocking to think that, but you can also understand he has Justin Jefferson. But when you see other number 2s like T. Higgins, he's had 2 1,000-yard years. Last year, he had 900 yards in 12 games. Devontae Smith, he's had 2 1,000-yard years. And Jalen Waddle's had 3 1,000-yard years. So it's like, so production-wise, Jordan Addison has not been as good as a number 2 as them. But I still think talent-wise, he can be better. But I still see him coming up a little bit short. Just a tad short. He's going to be kind of at the Jalen Waddle level. But, I mean, a little more touchdowns. So, Jalen Waddle I had 975 for 5. Jordan Addison, I'm going to give 900 for 7. And that leaves Justin Jefferson. He's going to have another baller year, like always, 1425 for 8. And then Jalen Nailor. I mean, who's the number 4 for the Vikings? Rondo Moore and Ty Feltland. I mean, maybe one of those can get involved. Maybe Jalen Nailor. I don't really see it. I think they're going to use Hawkinson, Adamson, and Justin Jefferson so much. I think Jalen Nailor is going to get kind of forgotten about. I think the third receiver is just going to get forgotten about in that offense. So I'll give him 350 for 4. Ooh! Okay, now we are on to the Patriots. I have 4 guys on my list. So Mac Hollins, I don't have him playing enough snaps. I'm excited about this, low-key. I think all of these guys can be pretty good. It's just Booty and Williams, since they are especially Booty, since he was a late round pick, they don't have too much ties with him. They don't have as much risk of not using him and getting rid of him. So I just don't see him being utilized as much. Kyle Williams is a rookie. I can also see these two basically splitting the third receiver snaps. Stephon Diggs is going to be easily one of the best receivers they've had in years. And I like Demario Douglas, too. I think he can be a very reliable number 2. So Douglas, I'll give 775 for 5. Diggs, I'll have him going back to 1,000 yards with 8 touchdowns. 1,075 for 8. And then Kyle Williams, I'm going to have him slightly out receiving Kayshon Boutte. Kyle Williams at 550 for 4. And then Kayshon Boutte, 475 for 2. Another fun group, man. The Saints. Brandon Cooks is back on the Saints. Rashid Shaheed is so electric and fun. He just doesn't stay healthy. Chris Olave is very good. Very reliable number 1. Maybe doesn't get enough recognition. Probably should be getting a little bit more. Brandon Cooks, he is getting older, though, so I don't see him getting another 1,000-yard a year ever again. I don't really see him getting back to 800. So I'm going to have him at 600 for 5. That'll leave Olave with 950 for 4. You got to remember, these guys don't really have a quarterback, so I don't think anyone's going to have eye-popping crazy numbers. And then that leaves Rashid Shaheed. Rashid Shaheed could probably be a 1,000-yard guy, but he's going to get hurt. So going to have him at 825 for 4. Giants. Malik Neighbors, he's going up in this dog territory. 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns. Wan'Dale Robinson, I'm going to give him 625 for 3. And Darius Slayton, I'll do 525 for 2. Outside of Malik Neighbors, this receiving core is kind of ass. They don't really have a great quarterback room. Next year, they either got to go quarterback in a draft or... Well, actually, no, they have Jackson Dart, yeah, obviously. So they'll work on Jackson Dart next year, and hopefully maybe they can get another first-round receiver or tight end, and then they can finally have some type of offense, because I don't feel like I've seen these guys have any type of passing offense since Eli Manning. All right, the Jets. Kind of a shitty room other than Garrett Wilson. So Garrett Wilson's going to be leading the way, 1,075 for 6. Allen Lazard, 625 for 4. And then Josh Reynolds, I'm going to have him being pretty poopy, 350 for 1. Going back to poopy, Eagles, Jahan Dotson, he's going to be 350 for 0. Or 300 for 0. I think he's the only guy on this list I have with 0 touchdowns, which is going to lead to 2 1,000-yard receivers for the Eagles. Devontae Smith, 1,025 for 7. And an A.J. Brown, 1,425 for 9. Just a ball of muscle. Okay, so now we're on to the Steelers. They have an interesting group. DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin, Robert Woods, and Roman Wilson. DK is obviously going to be getting number 1 targets. I think he's going to be another 1,000-yard guy. 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. I can see him falling just short like he has last season and maybe one other season because of the lack of quarterback play. Calvin Austin, I think he's going to end up taking a number 2 role from Robert Woods. And then I think by next season, 2026, Calvin Austin could be like a Deontay Johnson level receiver when he was in the Steelers, you know? So I can see Calvin Austin blowing up to be a name brand receiver, but for this season, I'll have him 650 for 4. That leaves Robert Woods and Roman Wilson. Robert Woods, I'm going to do 375 for 1, and then Roman Wilson, 425 for 2. The Niners, Ricky Pearsall, going to get a full year of not being shot, full year being number 2 receiver, and I think that's going to lead to a pretty solid year. 875 yards and 6 touchdowns. Brandon Ayuk, I think he's going to show everybody that he deserves his contract and that he should be threatening to go against. 1175 for 6. Jawan Jennings. Dude, I really thought Jawan Jennings was just going to be written off, be like the number 4, kind of forgotten about. But with the Deebo Samuel trade, who knows? Jawan Jennings could get utilized he could be used in his offense a lot. So I'm going to give him 750 yards for 6 touchdowns. Seahawks, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, MVS. I'll just call him that. All right, Seahawks, MVS, 325 for 1. Cooper Kupp. If he plays a full year, I would have him for 1,000 yards, but he hasn't done that in the last 3 seasons, so I'm going to give him 875 for 5, and that leaves Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think this guy is going to have a monster year. I think he's easily going to be in this top category. I think I'm going to have him going for 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns. Oh, okay, now this is probably the last fun group. Actually, no, the Commanders are another really fun group to do too. But the Bucks, Emegba Buka, I can see him falling just short of 1,000 yards. I think all of these guys are going to be so productive. Baker Mayfield's going to be fucking balling. So I'm going to have Mbuka at 925 for 8. Mike Evans, come on, yeah, are you really going to think I'm going to put him under here? No. He's a 1,000-yard guy every year. Once he stops being a 1,000-yard guy every year, I'll put him under, but I have no other choice. 1125 for 10. And then Chris Godwin, I think he's going to be back to 1,000 yards as well. 1,050 for 7. Dude, I think based on this list, the Bucks probably have the most productive wide receiver core. We'll see how these guys ranked out. Calvin Ridley, I know everyone says he's watching shit. He kind of isn't. He still gets 1,000 yards, so I'll have him going for 1,000 again. 1,000 yards and 4 touchdowns? 1,025 for 5, yeah. Tyler Lockett, 625 for 3. Yeah, he's just not really, he's never been a rack guy. He always catches the ball, falls down, and now he's getting older, so it's just, he's not going to be productive. Last season, he took a big dip, and I feel like it's just going to keep going down. Traylon Burks, I have him on this list, but I don't have anything written down for him. I'm just going to have him under 500. 200 yards, get 200 yards, an asthma attack, and 2 touchdowns. Van Jefferson, I'll give him 300 yards for 2. Yeah, I think, based off this list, the Titans probably have the worst receiving core. Definitely one of the worst. Who else is really bad here? I mean, you can say the Panthers, but they're also just young. Actually, no, 2, they're all right here. You got one. I don't know who to say is the worst one right now. Actually, no, probably the Broncos. Yeah, this is their number 1 guy, then number 2 and 3. Yeah, the Broncos probably have the worst based off this list. All right, for our final team, the Commanders. This was a fun one for me to. I really like predicting these guys. Deebo, he hasn't had 1,000 yards. He hasn't had over 900 yards since that one All-Pro season, and I don't see it happening again. Not to say that he's not going to be utilized. Not going to say he's not going to be productive. Say he's not going to score. I think he's still going to be used a lot. I still think he's going to have some good plays. I think he's going to be a very good number 2 in that offense. Will he have some drops and memeable moments? Of course, but he's going to be worth a number 2 receiving contract. So I'm going to give him 875 for 5. Noah Brown. I think this is actually going to be his first opportunity to be in the starting rotation for the entire season. I don't think he's going to lose the number 3 spot. I don't. So, and for that case, and he's had some big moments. So because of that, I'm also going to have him going for 875 for 4 touchdowns. Scary Terry. Scary Terry is the elite category. I have him going for 1,200. I honestly kind of want to put him up here with these guys. I think I might. Yeah, fuck it. Scary Terry. I'll give him 1,250. 1,250 for 11 touchdowns. Oh, okay. What if I put him here where I wanted to? Does that make it? I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, fuck it. Let's make Scary Terry number 12. Yeah. Scary Terry or 1,250. Alright, so we have 12. So this is 104 receivers, I believe. We got 12 in the 1,250 plus category. We got 23 in the 1,000 1,250 category. 19 in the next. 21. And whatever. Yeah. I feel pretty good about it. I think Ja'Marr Chase can easily be number one guy again. Puka Nacua, he's going to lead the league. That's my bold take. Puka Nacua will be leading the league in receiving yards. Ladd McConkey will become the best receiver out of the last year's class. And Jonathan Mingo will be out of the league. All right, cool. Thanks for tuning in. Goodbye.